Afternoon, councillors. We've all been hooked up now to Skype, so it's 4:31. So I'll open the meeting. Today's meeting. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land we meet on this afternoon, the Wiradjuri and Ngunnawal people, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Housekeeping. Well, the staff and the two councillors are in the chambers are well aware of how to exit the building if we need to do that. Just to remind everyone that the meeting is being live streamed, and that means that anyone who speaks needs to be cautious of what's being said in case of defamatory or potentially inappropriate comments being made, and it's live streamed live to everyone. The next item on the agenda is the public forum, and we have no speakers in the public forum today. So that takes me to item 4, which is apologies and applications for leave. And we have a request from Councillor Wallace that be accepted. So there's a recommendation there. So could I move Councillor Manchester, second Councillor Horton? All those in favour? Thank you, councillors. I would now ask everyone to be upstanding, please, while we express the sympathy on the passing of the following. Have a moment's silence for the following, please. Harley Blackman, Michael Williams, Lawrence Ellison, Kay Baldwin, Gary Houston, Henrika Remy, Robin Shard, George Hayes, Leslie Schaefer, Muriel Hardy, Colleen Kennedy, Catherine Graham, and James Broughton. Thank you, everybody. Next item on the agenda is the confirmation of the minutes from Council's ordinary meeting on the 24th of February. Do I have a mover and a second? A move, Councillor Manchester. Seconded, Councillor Rolls. Thank you. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Item 7, disclosures of interest. Has any councillors got any disclosure of interest on anything on the agenda tonight? I take that as a no. Thank you, councillors. Mayoral minute, there is nil. The mayoral report for February, March, councillors, I just might mention, and this was my fault, not anyone else's. I forgot to be in contact with some people. There's a meeting there that I attended, an LEP meeting. Well, I didn't actually attend that meeting. I was an apology. I couldn't make it, as it turned out. There was another meeting that I had with Greymont that's been left off there. I attended that with Councillor Armstrong. And I also attended the opening of the Art and Wood Sculpture Festival in Young last week. But I apologise to staff for not keeping staff up to date with that. So could I have someone move we accept the Mayor's report? Move Councillor Horton, seconded Councillor O'Connor. Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. We move on to councillors' reports now, and I have a report there from some councillors. So I'll go around the screen. Councillor Walker.
Meetings as minuted.
Thank you. Councillor Manchester.
Meetings as minuted, Mr Mayor, plus the LEP committee meeting on the 16th of March and the councillors' briefing on the 17th of March.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Armstrong.
Minutes, meetings as minuted, and in addition to those listed in the business paper tonight, there was also a meeting at the Young District Medical Centre with the doctor.
Thank you, Councillor Armstrong. Councillor Stadmiller.
Meetings as minuted, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor O'Connor.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I didn't make it to the councillor briefing. I didn't get back in time, sorry, so that needs to be cancelled.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you.
Councillor Rolls.
On the 17th of March, there was a councillor briefing. On the 18th of March, that was the medical practitioners meeting. 19th of March, there was the School of Music concert to meet with the new CEO. And the 24th of March, the Hilltops Council ordinary meeting. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Horton.
10 meetings as per the March business paper. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Horton. Someone move and second that we receive those reports. Thank you. Councillor Armstrong, second to Councillor Manchester. All those in favour? Thank you, councillors. Takes us over to the Community Recognition Scheme. Has anyone got anyone to be? Councillor Manchester.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Look, I'd like to take this opportunity to for council to recognise the work of one of our ex-councillors now, Councillor Wendy Tuckerman, for the work that she put in at BOOROWA Council. I'm not sure. I think it was from about 2006 or 2007 through to the amalgamations as a councillor and as the mayor. And then served time as the administrator and currently a councillor on the Hilltops Council. So I'd like recognition for her work and as a councillor and as a mayor, please.
Okay, so did our penciler get the wording of that, or are you going to provide that wording, Councillor Manchester?
Got it.
Got it? Okay,
got that.
Thank you. Any other? Councillor Armstrong.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like council to recognise the excellent service provided by Mr. Bill Maher to the community of Hilltops and certainly to the medical profession over the last 30-odd years. Mr. Maher is retiring from practice at the end of this month, and his retirement will certainly be sorely felt by his patients and also the community. So I'd like council to recognise the contribution that Dr. Maher has made to the community during his time in the Hilltops area.
Thank you, Councillor Armstrong. Do we have any other community recognitions? Councillors, Councillor Flannery has just joined us. He's here in the chambers with us right now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Apologies for my lateness. I'd just like to mention Dougal Walker, who passed away a few weeks ago. He was a former young councillor and a pioneer, I think, in this industry, in the pig industry, hydroelectricity, renewable generation, as it's now called. He was one of the original founding shareholders of hydropower, which provided electricity to South West Slopes County Council, which supplied BOOROWA, Young and Harden. He really turned around the pig industry in this district, not to undermine or understate what Ian Pollard's done, but between the two of them, they brought the pig industry to this district as a real leader, and I'd just like to mention him.
Thank you for that, Councillor Flannery. Just on the note, Council had sent flowers to the family in recognition of the efforts of Dougal, and a supporting letter will also be sent. So, councillors, can I have someone move and second that those community recognitions be adopted? Thank you, Councillor Armstrong and Councillor O'Connor. All those in favour?
Right.
Thank you, councillors. Item 12.1, 2133 is rate harmonisation, commencement of public engagement. Councillors, the reports there and the documents there and the workshops we've been through. Could I have a mover and a seconder first? Move, Councillor Manchester. Seconded, Councillor Rolls. Any questions in regard to that item? Before I put it, Councillor Walker.
Yeah, one question, just a typo on page 21. page 11 of the Morrison Law report and page 38 of the council papers. It's a spelling of BOOROWA.
Thank you for that, Councillor. Councillor Stedman's got a question.
Just a question for the General Manager, Mr. Mayor. What avenues will we be using to engage with the community regarding the rates harmonisation?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. The usual avenues, I mean, obviously we've got our communications machine. One of the highlights of that should that be resolved to go to the community on this basis, we will have on our website a calculator so that residents can type in their address. We're not sure about what the unique key date is, and then see what the effect would be should the recommended option be adopted. I'll also just take this opportunity to note that in the I talk about the Local Government Amendment Rating Bill 2021 that was introduced to the New South Wales Parliament on the 16th of March. We understand that it may not actually pass into legislation, should it be passed into legislation as late as June. So I need to have a conversation with OLG, how we have that conversation with the community about, because today is not and I did say this in the briefing, this is not a decision about the option, this is an option to consult. There are the other options there that people can comment upon, but the other element is the amendment put forward would allow for councils to introduce any rating change over a period of up to 4 years. Now, it's an option, it doesn't have to be, and I know there were different views from councillors about who that may benefit and who it may not benefit. So at this point, we do not have the option to put that forward. So I have to work out how you consult on something that may not come to be for a decision for council. So I'm just highlighting that, but it is, we will be guided by the OLG on how we make that consultation fulsome, as in that is an option. Councillor Armstrong, is a question for me or through the Mayor?
Through the Mayor to you, Mr. General Manager. Thank you. Just in regard to this is a busy time of year, and I'm hoping that we can get a budget document out to us sooner rather than later. I'm just wondering what the impact of late adoption of this rates harmonisation would have on the budgeting process.
From a budgeting process, as articulated in the report under financial implications, the pool of money raised through rates will not change. We are subject to the IPART income at 2%, and that will be the increase of the general rates. The rates harmonisation is how that is then distributed, for want of a better word, across the categories of residential, farmland, etc. So the pool of funding that's available for us for the provision of services and so forth will not change. So that should not affect the budgeting process. Quantum.
From that, I can expect the budget document pretty soon.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other questions in regard to this item or the report, the recommendation? No. Then I'll put the recommendation, councillors, as it reads. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? It's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. That moves us on to the next item, which is the cash and investment report. And the report's there, councillors, and a recommendation that we receive the statement of cash and investments as of 28 February 21. I've moved Councillor Manchester, seconded Councillor Armstrong. Any questions in regard to the cash and investment report? Councillor Flannery.
Mr Mayor, I've been meaning to ask this. It lists on page 89 grants under sundry debtors and then not due. What do the grants relate to?
Through you, Mr Mayor, the outstanding rates and charges and sundry debtors report is all of the grants that we have invoiced for works already completed on grant projects. We are in the process of following up and doing a reconciliation on all of those at the moment with our project management office to confirm values and the status of those payments.
So it's numerous grants and it's nothing that's been rejected pending further information?
That's correct. Through you, Mr Mayor, that's correct, Councillor Flannery.
Thank you for that reply. Any other questions, councillors, in regard to that report?
Mr Mayor, we just had a question in regard to report 2135. I think we still haven't dealt with 2134 yet.
That's okay. I didn't pick that up, councillor. Thank you, Councillor Armstrong. We're dealing with the cash investment report, so there's no question on that. I'll put that one. All those in favour? Again, unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Again, my apologies. We move on to 2135, which is the outstanding rates and charges, sundry debtors report. Could I have a mover and a seconder before we do any more discussion, please? Councillor Stadmiller, seconded by Councillor Flannery. Thank you. Now, given that we had a question from Councillor Flannery that was answered, the same answer will stand. Councillor Horton's got a question.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. As you probably all know, I'm pretty keen to get these rates paid, and it's pleasing to see that 70% up until this month have been collected, and that's great work, I reckon. However, there's still 28% outstanding over 28 days. And at the last meeting, I asked, could we have a breakup of that? And it was taken as a minute on notice, but I have not had a reply to that. So I would appreciate if we can just have a breakup as to over 90 days. What is it, 4 months, 5 months, 10 years, whatever. Thank you.
Like to speak to that, Courtney?
Through you, Mr Mayor, we've in the last month developed a report that will now allow us to extend that overdue detail. To this point, the financial system has only allowed us to show the outstanding in the current form. That report, the new report, has come in the last 2 days, so we will be able to apply that from next month.
Thank you for that. Councillor Armstrong, question.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Through to the General Manager. I note that the outstanding charges for water show that 80% of the outstanding charge is overdue 3 months. Can the General Manager please advise what steps he proposes to take in the short term to improve that situation? I don't think that any councillor would find that is a satisfactory situation in regards to the water fund, given the performance of the water fund.
Through you, Mr Mayor, as articulated, we have engaged a debt recovery agent, and they've been instructed to work through those issues. Do you have any in addition? No, okay. Thank you. So we've engaged someone to help us pursue those.
Question,
Councillor Flannery.
Are they being paid on a percentage of receipts or on a day rate?
They are on a day rate, as far as I am aware. I will take on notice and confirm for you.
Thank you for that.
Just
Councillor Armstrong.
Just on that, I think this. I don't believe this has been pursued as vociferously as it could be. I'd like a more detailed report to come to council in regards to the collections of these funds. The water fund doesn't perform well. There is already disparity in the pricing of water. We're down $1.5 million, I think it was, from last year on the performance on the water fund sales. To have well over $500,000 outstanding for more than 3 months, I think is stretching the point a bit much. I believe that council needs to keep a closer eye on this debt and the management of the debt.
Thank you, Councillor Armstrong, for that. And just given the last 3 or 4 days we've had, I'll probably say that the water fund will be down a little bit more. Any more questions in regard to this item? Councillor Flannery.
Well, did you want to move a motion calling for a report, or did you want to add a part B calling for a report on that, Councillor Armstrong?
Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I thank Councillor Flannery for his indulgence there, but I think the General Manager's got the pretty fair idea of what, certainly what I expect, and I suggest what Council's expecting too. So I'm expecting a better result next month, and certainly information.
Through you, Mr Mayor, certainly a more fulsome report can be provided, will be provided.
Thank you.
That's a better answer. Thank you. Okay, any other questions in regard to that report? If not, I'll put that item. All those in favour? Again, thank you, councillors. Item 2136 is the development application stats for February 2021. Councillors, the report's there and a recommendation. Do I have a mover and a seconder to start with? Move Councillor Manchester, seconded Councillor Horton. Thank you. Any questions in regard to this report? Councillor Flannery.
Mr Mayor, thank you. Look, I have spoken to the General Manager, but there is one item in there in particular that there was a delay. I think the clock was stopped. I can't find it. It's behind. It's Good Friday Flat Road or something, and I'll find it. But there's since been a community service charge. Could the Director please advise of when a private residence incurs a community service charge, please?
Through you, Mr Mayor, the charge that in relation to this particular development application was what was formerly known as the Section 94A charge. It is a percentage on the cost of works. The cost of works for that development application was $500,000. The 1% levy charged on that $500,000 created a charge of $5,000. That's now known as the 712 contribution under the EP&A Act.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Any other questions in regard to that report? If not, I'll put that report. All those in favour?
All right.
Again, thank you, councillors. We move on to 2137, which is the draft Red Hill Reserve Plan of Management 2020, and there's a report there and a recommendation. And my apologies to the Red Hill Reserve. I now currently sit on that committee, and this document's been with council for some time, and through a number of reasons, never actually got to get to our meeting to approve to go on exhibition. So it's taken a while to those people in that organisation, but here it is, councillors, and the report's there, and the recommendation is in front of you. Can I have a move in a second? A move, Councillor Horton. Seconded, Councillor Armstrong. Thank you. Any questions in regard to this? Councillor Fleming.
Mr Mayor, on page 111, under F on the right-hand side of the page, it says that Crown land be occupied, used, sold, leased, licensed. Well, the principles of Crown land management are, I didn't think Crown land could be sold without going through various processes. Is that applicable here to the Red Hill Reserve, or is this a lift of a pro forma document? It can't be sold, can it?
Through you, Mr Mayor. No, it can't. The drafting of this document, it was based upon its inception back in 2015, and as part of the consultation process being the public exhibition, staff will be going through to take out any anomalies like that.
Thank you for that, and we'll pick up Councillor Flannery. On that note, if there's no other questions in regard to that report, I'll put that. All those in favour? Thank you, councillors. Against? And I'm against. Thank you. 2138 is the works report. The report's there, councillors, and a recommendation. Kick off with a mover and a seconder. Councillor Manchester. Thank you. Councillor Armstrong, seconded. Any question? Councillor Manchester has the first question, I think. Councillor Manchester.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just querying the additional not forecast works completed the 6th of February. There's quite a list there. I assume they're probably storm damages, but could I just confirm one way or another? And what sort of money's involved, if they've got any idea at this stage?
On 23, there's one list, and then there's another list. Expected works for 140.
I hand over that to Director. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I cannot respond directly to that question today. I'll take that question on notice and provide the response when I have the information available.
Thank you for that.
Thanks, Director. Thank you, Mayor.
I believe that the officer in charge of that is absent at the moment, so thank you. Councillor Armstrong.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, through you to the Director, when those details are provided, can we please get accomplishments or lineal metres achieved for these roads? It really means nothing at all to know that work's been done there. It might be 1 metre or it might be a kilometre. Without some sort of an indicator, councillors really aren't informed adequately.
Thank you for that, Councillor Armstrong. Councillor Stadmiller.
Just a question for the General Manager, whether an inspection could be done on a residence in Bynelong Street, which is suffering from water which is coming down from Swift Street. It's going over the gutter and over the sandbags at this stage and potentially threatening the foundations of that house. If that could be added to the works report for someone to go and have a look at that and give a time frame of when we could do some work on that, please.
Yep, it's taken on notice. Yep, thank you. Councillor Flannery.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's a number of questions. Firstly, and supporting Councillor Manchester, could we get some costings on the additional not forecast works completed, noting that 700,000 was allocated from the plant replacement fund to unsealed road work. So presumably if that work is occurring, it's got to come out of a budget allocation somewhere, the not forecast works. Can we get not only the expenditure, but can we be told what part of the budget that work is coming from? Or is it other road works? Because as part of the budget, we then approved road works, so we need to be told which ones are not going to happen, please. Scenic road appears a number of times in this report, and at a previous council meeting many moons ago, I did ask for costings on scenic road and Moppity Road, and it appears works forecast completed, and it says scenic road entire length, so it's it says it's completed.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, there is in confidential report, there is costings.
Yep, I'm aware of that.
Okay.
I'm just going through. If you start at the top, it says works forecast completed is the first table. Scenic road appears and says entire length. You go down to the last table from the 6th of March to the 2nd of April. It says works planned and scenic road appears. If you go over the page, 2 pages, I think it is, scenic road appears again. So I'm just not too sure what part of entire length of scenic road that's completed that's then not completed in the rest of it. I did speak to the General Manager about the Colenso Road. It was done up. It's part of the unscheduled works, and a very good job was done by staff there in a bit of an emergency. But I would be quite interested in the cost of that because they did it very diligently and very efficiently, and I think it would go to what can be achieved when it needs to be achieved. Just a comment, Moppity Road was done 4 months ago and line marking is listed there, but it hasn't occurred yet. Well, it just says line marking to be done. There's some very dangerous crests there. If the line marking could be done there as a matter of urgency, please. It notes on page 125, truck parking area at Limestone Way. The last time I saw that come before council, Councillor Manchester and I were concerned about the $70,000 price tag allocated to the cost for a cost of truck parking area there. So I note its works planned. I'm just a bit concerned that, well, I would like to know what costing has been allocated to that, given our budget situation. Is it coming out of VPA money? Is it coming out of road works? I think that needs to be clarified before that work occurs, please.
Sorry, can I just ask for clarification through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Flannery? When you talk about the unsealed road maintenance, scenic road entire length, and then it's again later, you also mentioned the gravel re-sheeting for scenic road, various patching. Notwithstanding the first question was there, but did you allow for the distinction between the gravel re-sheeting and the maintenance grading? Was that part of your question, or was it just in relation to the plan versus an entire length?
Well, scenic road, to my knowledge, I've driven most of it, and it's a sealed road, so I'm not too sure. Well, the shoulders have had gravel put on it. So if that's the unsealed part, then perhaps that's what it's referring to there. It does go on then to say there's planned work on scenic roads. I'm not too sure whether that's sealing the shoulders that have been gravelled and rolled. Hopefully they're not sealing the shoulders because they'll need regrading. But it's just not clear to me what.
Yeah, no, thank you. I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
What work's happening there. I would like more information on the truck parking area in Limestone Way and what the budget allocation is and where the funds are coming from, please. On page 126, and this has been brought to the General Manager's attention as well, but it does say works forecast completed, and it says cricket pitches, and it was completed, but now it's uncompleted. A new pitch was put down at Galong as part of the village money, but unfortunately it was mowed up in spring, the all-weather pitch, and it's now needing to be redone, I think. So could the Galong community and I guess the works team be advised on what is going to happen there? I don't know whether it's been rebudgeted, but certainly it's not usable, and I sent photos through. I'm not aware of any general maintenance on Neil Street that's occurred in the last month. Could we have more detail on that, please? Certainly, I took photos of work that needs to be done. There's considerable pruning that needs to be done. On page 127, it says MR78 lines look out to bottom of Smith's Hill. It's just a question, is that FAG, what the money for that is? That there's been so much work occur there. Is that FAG grant or where the money is coming from on that one, please? I'm not aware of what work. Is that an RTA request or an RMS? Is that an RMS request or is that our allocation? Page 129. 3 sewer disconnections. Are they requested or are they? I've never heard of us disconnecting sewers before. Are they houses for removal or I've heard of sewer connections? Is it?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, without details, but if it's private works, I can only say that I would say that they would be requested. However, we will we'll confirm that.
Thank you. On page 128, the funding that's being used for the spraying, I'm very happy it's occurring, but I didn't see any budget allocation from the general fund for that spraying. Councillor Armstrong might be even able to help me out there. There was certainly drought funding allocations. I'm just querying what the funding allocation for that is, please. I think, no, not finally. I attended the briefing by Golden Fields GM last week. I inquired, there's a substantial amount of waterworks are occurring, and I inquired what is the ability of Golden Fields to borrow money, and he said we don't need to borrow money at the moment. And I said I didn't ask whether you need to. I asked what their ability is, if it's based on their asset backing or ability to levy ratepayers. Could that be put on notice, please?
Through Mr. Mayor, the CEO did respond, and I did forward the response ad verbatim. Okay. So I believe that has been answered.
Right. Thank you. Page 130, there's routine maintenance of swimming pools, and it's just I guess it will go to this year's budget, but I'll raise it now. The HARDEN filtration was deferred last year because of insufficient funds. Could we, as part of the budget process, look at having that a report come forward on what I understood to be almost an emergency a couple of years ago, and how we can put that into the budget, please? When they went out to tender, they were told they didn't have sufficient funds to cover the work.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Flannery, for that report on that report, and I'm sure the relevant staff have taken the notes to bring back answers to your queries. We much appreciate it. Does anyone else have any questions on that the works report while we're here? No, thank you. Councillor Flannery covered off pretty well. Okay, I'll put that item. All those in favour?
Aye.
Again, thank you, councillors. So we come to the 2139, the action summary report. The report there, councillors, and the recommendation that we note the status of the action plan. I have a mover and a seconder. Move, Councillor Flannery, thank you. Seconded, Councillor Armstrong, thank you. Any questions, Councillor Flannery?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Look, I think that everything on the first page has been there for 2 or 3 years, at least 4 years for some of them, 3 years. I think we need to make a decision as to whether these are going to happen or not. I mean, some of them, I think, can we bring them back to a workshop rather than just putting them on a piece of paper? They either need taking off the list and putting in the too hard basket, which hopefully won't occur, but it's just, it's a waste of paper, if nothing else, that they stay there. Every item on the first page is 3 and 4 years old. The second page, likewise. TBA, I mean, it should say we don't have the resources or we're not going to do it, rather than to be advised. Could we get details, and I'm sure we've been provided it, but I couldn't find where, details of the VPA priority list from the Copperbella wind farm. It's definitely come to a workshop or something, but I couldn't find. When we are looking at services we need to provide to a community, rates harmonisation, clearly there's a question of whether rate pegging might change in some form, if not be scrapped, because the government will probably get sick of councils asking for special rate variations. So I think we need to have a serious look at where the VPA money is going and make sure it, well, to the best of our ability, use it to complement what council needs to do as far as service provisions, rather than just a wish list for communities. So could I get a report on the VPA list and see how it can be matched up with council service provision? I was going to ask a question in the last section, but then I saw it in this list. which I'd already asked before, I think. Solar panels on council buildings, that council receive a report on return savings from investments of solar units. Now, I'm pretty sure I asked that question before because I thought we should be looking to, if we're making reasonable savings through our electricity costs, that go back. Technically, I guess it reduces expenditure and is in the general fund, but we should be looking to either reprioritise that or be at least advised on how much our savings are. Road on the next page, 135, I note we are still waiting the rural roadside vegetation management within council-owned land, managed roads policy. Now, it's a great pity that that hasn't been finalised because I've been shocked by a tree that was cut down on Limestone Way just outside Galong. That tree was probably only 400 years old, and I can see no reason at all for it to be removed. And I'm totally dissatisfied with the response I was given via email. The photos I took of that tree, and I took a number, showed there was nothing wrong with it at all. We have received a report on Scenic Road. On page 136, I don't believe the first two items have been completed. Would a director like to comment on whether they have or haven't? I don't believe they have. And there's a number of other questions.
Through the relevant director.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. The first item on page 136, the item was read to be that a meeting be convened of the Asset Management Committee, and that meeting has taken place, and hence it has been recorded as completed. The second action item about the BOOROWA drought report, that was that we received the report. We have only just finalised the report. We've received the completion there has been completed. The report is with us, and a report to council will be going to the next council meeting. So we have the report.
Thank you.
Thank you. The third item down, again, that fits with the first one. If we're not going to do anything about it, just scrap it. Same with item number 2 on 139. I think that's it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Flannery. I've just got two little comments in regard to the first 2 pages. You mentioned one item that won't be coming off the action list, I can assure you, is the Hilltops floodplain management business. But there's some more important work to be done there. I know it's been there for a while, but it's been going on and it will continue to stay there until it gets done. So I'd hate to see it come off because it may well be forgotten. And the second item on 133 about the LEP preparation, we all know that it'll be coming off very shortly because we're just about at the end of that work. So there are 2 items, but the other items, I can see your point in regard to that. Any other comments or questions, councillors, in regard to that report? No, I'll take that as a no, and I'll put that report. All those in favour? Against? Thank you, councillors. I've lost my page. Here we are. Page 140. 2140, media releases and Office of Local Government Circulars. The recommendations there, councillors. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Armstrong, thank you. Councillor Horton, seconded. All those in favour?
Right.
Thank you. Unanimous. Item 2141, nomination of appointment to Wombat Progress Association Committee. Councillors, there's a little report there and a recommendation. I have a mover and a seconder. Moved Councillor Stadmiller. Seconded Councillor Walker. All those in favour?
Right.
Again, it's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. 2142, the National Cherry Festival 355 Committee Annual General Meeting minutes, and a recommendation that's there, councillors. A mover and a second. Move Councillor Walker. Seconded Councillor Armstrong. All those in favour?
Right.
Again, it's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Takes me over to item 2143, the BOOROWA Irish WOOLFEST 355 Committee Annual General Meeting minutes from the 9th of September 2020. Again, councillors, there's a report there and a recommendation. Do I have a mover and a seconder for such? Councillor Walker, thank you. Seconded Councillor Stadmiller. All those in favour? Thank you, councillors. Takes me over to 2144, Hilltops Council Local Traffic Advisory Committee meeting minutes held on the 3rd of March 2021. There's a report there and a recommendation. Moved Councillor Walker, seconded Councillor Horton. Any questions in regard to that report? Councillor Armstrong.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the Director. I note in all of the reports tendered to this committee, there were nil risk implications. Yet a little bit further on, we're looking at a requirement for organisers of an event to undertake a risk assessment. Now, surely if there are nil risk implications for any of these things, and it's very clearly in the report, why are we asking people to do risk assessments when clearly our council staff has assessed the matter and decided there's no risk implications? So if I can have a response to that, please.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Armstrong, I think that has been brought to the attention of the minute taker, and we are going to be revising those minutes to reflect all risks associated. So that will be updated with the next report.
I'm sorry, Director, but that doesn't answer the question. Either you're telling me that the report was wrong or the minutes are wrong. So what's the story? Are there risk implications that have not been noted in the reports? And if there are, I guess that's another question for later on.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I note that the risk assessment section of that report was not included in this report. Okay.
Thank you for that.
Mr. Mayor, I just find it incredible that the staff received to prepare a report that tells the committee that there are no risk implications, and then expects the committee to come up with a result out of this that clearly identify that there are risk implications. This seems to be tardiness in the preparation of the reports, or some significant underestimation of risk within the organisation. I'll express my deep concerns about that.
Thank you, Councillor Armstrong. I'll take that on board. Councillor Walker, who's the chair of that committee. Has it, Councillor Walker?
Yes. Look, I need to highlight that risk assessments are done on all these activities. First of all, the in-principle support of holding an activity is part of those minutes as traffic committee, so there's no problems there. Then we go on to the next step that doesn't come into these minutes, is the risk assessment on every activity that involves community organisations. That's a standard.
Mr. Mayor, if I may address Councillor Walker, Councillor Walker, I accept that entirely. But if you look back at the reports that the committee was provided with, it very clearly says risk implications nil. So the reports that the committee's considered have indicated there are no risks for any of the items of business.
Thank you, Councillor Walker.
Yeah, I would suggest what the director said in the first instance is correct, is that it's just a typo that needs to be addressed.
Thank you, because it may need to be addressed because it doesn't read real well. I agree with Councillor Armstrong. Councillor Rolls.
It's a typo in every one of the reports then.
Councillor Rolls.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I've just got a query about the installation of the rear to curb parking. Why is rear to curb the chosen option against front to curb, for example? Are there any advantages or disadvantages in it? It just seems to me that I realise it's up to the local council to decide, but I'm just wondering about the reasons that it has been chosen in this case.
I could probably answer that. It's not scientific for me, but it's just an opinion of mine, is that if you were to try to back out into the traffic, and you can only talk about the community of Young, you'd be there a long, long time trying to get out, I can tell you, but I'll pass over to the director. There's probably a scientific reason for it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Most of the times when we do rear to curb, it's for safety reasons. It's safer for a person to reverse into the parking than to try and reverse out. it's statistically shown that more accidents happen when people are trying to reverse out of parkings than if they're going forward out of parkings. When you reverse in, you stop the traffic essentially so that you can reverse into the road, so into the parking area.
I thought there'd be a scientific answer.
Yes, I presumed. I just feel maybe we need a few.
I would dispute that, because when we did it Harden, we couldn't find any evidence of a difference in accidents.
I'll just say that you didn't look hard enough. Okay, thank you, Councillor, on that point.
Thank you.
If there's any other questions in regard to the traffic committee meeting, I'll have a hand up from Councillor Stadmiller first. Thank you, Councillor.
Just a brief one for the General Manager, Mr Mayor. There's a no stopping sign in Smith Street and Harden across the road from the high school. I believe that's undergoing a trial period. I'm just wondering when that trial period ceases.
Would probably someone like to take that question on notice? Or Councillor, the Director will answer. Yep.
So this was discussed at the last traffic committee, and it was recommended that we continue the trial for another 3 months.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you. Councillor Flannery had a question.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. On page 153, it notes that Council was installing traffic classifiers on, it's under the report, Pat Smith. Does the information, can we get some of the information from Council resources on how many traffic classifiers are operating and what the details are on them, to just help inform us on road traffic movements and changes? I'm sure it will help with budgetary decisions as well. I think we're all aware that Council uses them, but I've never once seen any information provided. On page 154, it notes that the submission period closes on the 30th of the 6th, 21, in relation to the A double restricted access. Do just Council staff hold a view on whether they think it's a positive, detrimental thing, whether it'll impact the budget? Do we have any view on the submission to that yet? And then look, I'll move. There's a few other things just about all of the dot points under summary of speed zone review assessments undertaken in no particular order. I don't know that I think any of them are good assessments, including on page 155, where I think I've written stupid beside one of them. Has it been finalised that those changes will occur? And if not, when will they be determined?
Thank you, Councillor. To the Director.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Through you. The first question regarding the heavy vehicles, that is a conversation that we are still having with Transport for New South Wales. We are looking at the routes that these vehicles will take. Obviously, Council staff are raising their concerns about the extra length and weight of these vehicles, and that is something that is ongoing. I could bring a briefing back to Council at the next councillor briefing on where we're up to with that, but that's certainly something that is being driven by Transport for New South Wales as well. Then with regards to the speed zone reviews, those reviews are the reviews that have been undertaken by Transport for New South Wales. They are the state authority and they determine the speed limits. Council, as the local road authority, do not have that authority. It's determined by Transport for New South Wales.
Is that the case for Chillingworks Road and Absalone as well as Kingsvale Road?
Yep.
Yeah, look, and the last item on that section is the MILVALE Road matter, which I met with the powers to be in regard to that, and in regard to the extension of the 50k zone, which is going to go ahead. And it was made very clear to me that they are the authority. But having said that, my main concern was safety, and I don't believe that the committee had taken on board what was requested and looked at thoroughly, let's say, and they've agreed to me that we'll take on some community consultation in regard to the matter, and the matter about that speed zone, provisional speed zone going to 80 k's coming in on the MILVALE Road will be re-looked at. So that community consultation will start shortly, And as I explained to the powers to be, that it just wasn't an overnight thought of someone who wanted to do that. The request came from the community, continually asking for that dangerous bit of road to have the speed limit reduced and have transitional speed zone into town from that end, given that 7 out of the 9 entrances to our town have transitional speed zones, and some of them more recently. So the argument that they were doing away with 80-kilometre speed zones just does not add up. That's all I'm going to say on the matter. We will do community consultation in regard to it. Any other questions on that report? If not, I'll put it. All those in favour? Against? Thank you, councillors. Item 2145, committee reports requiring no action. They're there, councillors, and a recommendation. Councillor Horton moved, seconded by Councillor Flannery. Thank you. All those in favour? Against? Thank you, councillors. Takes me to, I don't think I missed any. Questions with notice, nil. Notice of motions, nil. Takes us to the confidential section of our meeting. Would someone like to move? We move into closed council. Move Councillor Flannery, seconded Councillor Armstrong. Thank you. All those in favour? So be it.
Good to go.
Could I have a mover and a seconder for all the recommendations that have been adopted in close be adopted in the one item, please? Moved Councillor Flannery, seconded Councillor Stadmiller.
Point of order.
Sorry, Councillor Armstrong.
I don't believe that Mr. Mayor, I don't believe that these need to be re-adopted by council. I think that the process here is the resolutions adopted by council in the closed session need to be read out loud by the General Manager.
Thank you. On your point of order, Councillor Armstrong, this has been an issue ongoing for some time now, just about how we do finish up the meeting in regard to that matter. I'm happy to go back and read out the resolutions. There was an issue over that matter once before in regard to tenders, which I believe there's a reason it wasn't done that way. Just bear with me, Councillor.
I can read it out. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, that was my read. The practice has been as the Mayor has undertaken. However, no time like the present. So, in relation to the commercial matter, in relation to the Galong Road North update, that the report was received and noted. In relation to the roadworks pavement rate comparison, the report was received and noted. In relation to the replacement asset, 10,066 gravel truck insurance claim write-off, the report was received and noticed, endorsed the purchase of the truck for the said amount through the appropriate the winning tenderer. This is part of the part where we don't announce the tenderer until such time as it's been confirmed with the tenderer that they adopted, that does come out in the minutes. We accept the insurance payment from Zurich and that to delegate the General Manager to execute all necessary documentation. Then the next matter, 21/50, request for tender 569 of 2021. The recommendation was accepted that the report be received and noted, and we endorse the purchase of the heavy duty waste transfer compactor, and we do accept the successful tenderer and delegate to the General Manager the authority to execute all necessary documentation. Then the award of, this is 2151, award of the contract RFT 573 of 2021, construction of RFS station. The recommendation that was endorsed was receive and note the report, award the contract to the successful tenderer and delegate authority to the General Manager to execute all necessary documentation. Then moving on to the award of contract RFT 581 of 2021, water main upgrade for MILVALE Road. The recommendation that was adopted by the resolution of council was We receive and note the report in relation to the water main upgrade, award the contract to the successful tenderer, subject to the appropriate checks that are outstanding, subject to those checks being positive, that be so awarded. Otherwise, the following tenderer be awarded the contract. So, third, delegate the authority to the General Manager to execute all the necessary documentation, and delegate the authority to the General Manager to expend the funds as required within the budget. The final matter that was discussed by councillors in confidential was the personnel matter about the organisational structure, and the recommendation that was adopted was that the organisational structure as presented in the report be adopted. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. General Manager and Councillor Armstrong. Just to finish on your point of order, and I'm sure you're aware of the dot point in the Code of Meeting Practice that you're referring to, but I'll just make that public. It goes to 20.20 and 20.21, where a resolution is passed during a meeting or part of a meeting that is closed to the public must be made public by the chairperson under clause 20.20 during the part of the meeting that is webcast. So that is the dot points under our Code of Meeting Practice that Councillor Armstrong was referring to, and I find it strange that he didn't mention those dot points when he brought the point of order. But thank you very much, Councillor Armstrong, for that. Having said that, we will now close the meeting at 6:07. Thank you, councillors, for your participation and staff.